Okay, let's dive straight into chapter 13 of Hosea.
Right. This chapter, it's got a really stark message for the northern kingdom, for Ephraim specifically.
Yeah, it kind of tracks their whole story, doesn't it? From being this prominent power.
To rebellion, idolatry, and then facing these, well, severe consequences God promises.
It starts by acknowledging that past importance. I think the text says, when Ephraim spoke, men trembled. He was exalted in Israel. They were a big deal.
Absolutely. They had real status, real influence.
But then things went wrong.
Yeah.
Seriously wrong.
That's the pivot. The text pins it on becoming guilty of Baal worship and died, spiritually died, that is.
So turning to other gods.
Exactly. And it wasn't just a one-off thing. They kept at it, making more and more idols, from silver, these cleverly fashioned images, all made by craftsmen.
Human hands making their gods.
Right. And it gets darker. The text mentions things like human sacrifice, even kissing calf idols, bowing down to these things they made.
Wow. That's quite a fall from grace. And the text uses some vivid language to describe what happens next, how fleeting they become because of this.
Oh, definitely. The imagery is powerful. They'll be like morning mist, like early dew that disappears.
Gone almost instantly.
Yeah, or like chaff swirling from a threshing floor, just the useless bits blown away, or smoke escaping through a window.
It really hammers home this idea of instability, lack of substance, poof, and they're gone.
Precisely. No permanence at all.
So why? From the divine perspective in the text, why such a harsh judgment?
Well, God reminds them, basically, who he is and what he did. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt.
Establishing the relationship.
And his unique position. You shall acknowledge no God but me, no Savior except me. He even brings up the past care, like in the desert, the land of burning heat.
He was their rescuer, their sustainer.
But they forgot, and the text gives a reason why they forgot.
Right, there's that connection to prosperity.
Exactly. When I fed them, they were satisfied. When they were satisfied, they became proud. Then they forgot me. It's laid out very clearly.
Satisfaction leads to pride. Pride leads to forgetting God.
That's the chain reaction described here. Their abundance ironically led to their spiritual downfall.
That's quite the warning about material comfort, isn't it?
Yeah.
How it can blind you.
Yep.
And this forgotten helper, God, the reaction described is terrifying.
It shifts dramatically. The language becomes predatory. God will come like a lion, lurk like a leopard.
Not passive judgment, active, almost violent.
Very active. Attack like a bear robbed of her cubs to rip them open, devouring like a lion being torn by a wild animal. It's ferocious imagery.
And the reason stated again.
Starkly put, you are destroyed, O Israel, because you are against me, against your helper. It's not just forgetting, it's opposition. Active rebellion.
And instead of relying on their divine helper, they looked elsewhere, didn't they? Towards earthly power.
Precisely. The text calls them out on it. Where is your king that he may save you? Where are your rulers, the ones they asked for, saying, give me a king and princes?
Highlighting that misplaced trust.
And God's response shows the futility. So in my anger I gave you a king, and in my wrath I took him away. Even their political solution became part of the problem, part of the judgment.
So all this sin, this rebellion, it's like it's been piling up.
Yeah, the text says, the guilt of Ephraim is stored up, his sins are kept on record. It's all accounted for.
And then there's that really difficult childbirth analogy.
It's striking, isn't it? Pains as of a woman in childbirth come to him, but he is a child without wisdom. When the time arrives, he does not come to the opening of the womb.
What does that signify?
It seems to portray this moment of crisis, like labor pains signaling something should happen, but there's a failure to reach deliverance. They're stuck in the birth canal, so to speak, unable to be born into safety or a new beginning despite the judgment starting.
Wow. Heavy stuff. But then right after that, almost jarringly, there's a flicker of something else.
There is a sudden shift. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death.
A promise of redemption.
It sounds like it. And then those defiant rhetorical questions to death itself. Where, O death, are your plagues? Where, O grave, is your destruction? It's this powerful glimpse of ultimate victory over death.
But it doesn't seem to apply to them right now in this context.
It snaps right back. The very next line essentially says, I will have no compassion. For Ephraim, right then, the judgment stands.
So that hope is maybe future-focused, but the present is still grim.
Exactly. The destruction continues. The east wind from the Lord, drying up resources, plundering everything. The immediate reality is judgment.
And the chapter ends with a very specific Violent fate for Samaria, the capital city.
Yes, a final brutal note. The people of Samaria must bear their guilt because they have rebelled against their God. They'll fall by the sword, little ones dashed to the ground, pregnant women ripped open.
A truly devastating conclusion to their rebellion.
It leaves no doubt about the consequences of turning away from their helper, as the text puts it.
So this chapter paints a really clear picture. Rise, fall through idolatry, fueled by pride and prosperity, and then this incredibly severe, almost inescapable judgment.
With just that brief, almost paradoxical hint of future redemption tucked in there.
It definitely makes you think about that link between being satisfied and becoming proud, forgetting where blessings come from.
Yeah, and what happens when reliance shifts from, the divine source to things we make or human systems?
It really poses that question for us, doesn't it? Are we ever tempted to build our security on things that might just vanish, like smoke, forgetting the one who promises something far more lasting, like ransom from the grave?
Definitely something worth pondering.